Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. I'm greeting you all wherever you're watching this from. Thank you. Welcome to this important discussion. Please bear in mind, topics discussed in this video can be mature and talk about abuse, child abuse particularly. So if you feel like that's too much for you, please click out. But before you click out, press that subscribe button because we'll be bringing more videos that are very interesting and will definitely arouse your curiosity. And if you click on this video, this is what we're about to watch today.
Police this week raided Prophet Ishmael Chokurongerwa's compound at Lily Farm in the Nyabire area on the outskirts of Harare. They arrested Chokurongerwa and 7 others on charges of violating children's rights, using over 250 children as cheap labor.
It's just breaking news and it's current news from Zimbabwe. It's happening at the moment. It's very hard and it's happening at the moment. Very controversial. And I want to ask you the question at some point in this video, in the beginning of this video. What do you think? And after presenting the facts, two sides of this story, it will be easier for you to perhaps in the comment section, tell me what do you think. Without wasting any time, let's get back to this video. So this is happening at Zimbabwe and it's happening right now. A Zimbabwean cult leader has been arrested. This just came in and everyone was shocked. The neighbors, currently the international world is also going blazing hard on this, but this man is still in court. He's still going to court, so he's not yet convicted of anything. He's still allegedly, so innocent until proven guilty. Chokurengwa or Chokurengerwa. This is Shona, a Zimbabwean language. Chokurongerwa, also known as Matsibaba Ishmael, was identified by the police as a leader of the White Garment Church, or otherwise known locally as Johane Masowe, with more than 1,000 members at his farm. His farm is about 21 miles northwest of the capital, which is Harare. This is where the children at this particular farm, which he named Canaan to his believers, and this is the place where you have to be safe at, because Ishmael has told Prophet Ishmael had told his followers that the world was coming to the end soon. So all of them had to stay at Canaan, otherwise his farm. He has since been arrested following reports of child labor, child marriages, denial of rights to education, medical services, and other human rights. As you see from the videos that I will show you, some of the followers are really supportive of him. Some of the neighbors are also supportive and others against him. So it's a very controversial issue and I'm glad to bring it up to you guys because it's happening at the moment. Much of this information is captured and documented by a state-run tabloid called H Metro, which accompanied the police during the raid and showed where the police ride wearing gear, full gear, going into the farm, where they clashed with the female believers in white garments and headcloths who demanded the return of the children while they were being pulled in the police bus. So how did we get them? How did we get them?
Kuti unotaura kumunhu kuti uri kuabhusa mwana wako, pakuabhusa mwana wako pachoni ipapo womutora womuvharira mukati.
Some residents of Norton who attended the court hearing urged the authorities to take the case seriously, saying the group was a danger to children.
Topera batirwa vana vese nyika yese. Izvo kuna vanhu vakashaya vana vakawanda kumapurazi izvo vachinobatwa vari ikoko. Saka chikumbiro changu shumba ini muzukuru wenyu tiri pano. Nyaya iyi ngaisangoitange nyaya yemanga-manga. Nekuti izvo vana vese vari kushayika munyika muno munhu kwavari.
Some residents have praised the police for arrest.
Who called in the police? Apparently, this church had 1,000 members, bear in mind. They were staying at the farm. Their children were born at the farm. This is a matter of faith versus the legal. With the government has its own rules. But when a man comes and says he's a prophet of God, call him a prophet Ishmael. This was a normal situation for them because this is a matter where faith versus legal, or this is a matter of faith versus the legal. The children were made to do child labor at the grounds where the police found graves of 7 infants. So the charges now are becoming heavy and heavy. The police are still looking into this church like how many more rules or how many more rights did they violate? How many more rules did they break? So this is still ongoing and he's still having his chance to have his defense at church. His lawyer, Purity Chikangangise, who is also representing 7 other members who were also arrested with him at the time, Their whereabouts of where they're being held at the moment are currently unknown. But going back to give you a little bit of the background, so let's get to it. The children, allegedly, were made to do cheap labor at the grounds where police also found the graves of 7 infants. This is coming from the authorities. The children, most of whom had no childbirth certificates, quote unquote, to perform various physical activities for the benefit of the sex leadership. This comes from the police spokesperson, Paul Nyati. He was there during the raid. He continued by saying, all children of school-going age did not attend formal education and were subjected to abuse as child labor, doing manual work in the name of being taught life skills, he added. Now, this is very interesting. It's very interesting because the members of the church duly believe that their children are more safer at this church, at this farm, at Canaan, not at the schools where they'll be taught this Western education, not at schools where they will be taught to neglect the spiritual element of their lives. So they emphasize that faith was more important than education. And this is where the clash really came. And it was apparent from the interviews that the members took, especially the female members of the church, they took on the interview, on the television, and I'll show you, where they protested the arrest of their prophet. They protested that their rights are not being violated in any way, that in fact, they are not forced to dwell at this farm. They are not forced to pray at this farm. They are not forced to bury their loved ones at this farm. It is in fact their choice. The issue of graves being found at this farm that is according to the law that you have to register, or you have to let the government know that if somebody has died, you cannot just go on and bury someone in your backyard and in the next person as well. They found about 16 graves, 7 of which belonged to infants. None of them were ever registered or reported to the police as the government would have it. So 16 graves, 7 children, infants, as is being reported. So this has been it's been one of those issues where it's really interesting to see it forward out, because two sides are represented here. In different cases, just last year in Kenya, right? There was a similar issue. In fact, when I saw the headlines, I thought this was reminiscent of the Kenya case where Mackenzie, where Mackenzie, a popular preacher, was arrested at Shakahola Forest, where his church, the Good News International Church, was based at. There, several thousand bodies were also rescued in a state where they could not walk, they could not talk. Some of them were found emaciated and later died. Why was this? Now, the church leader, Paul Mackenzie, this is at Kenya, told his followers to starve themselves in order to go to heaven. Say that again. He told his followers that they should starve themselves in order to go to Valhalla, in order to go to heaven. Ezulwini, Valhalla. So, his case, I think he was denied of any wrongdoing at the court. It was a pretty up and down case. If you want me to make a video on it, please tell me in the comments and I'll definitely get to it. It was an interesting case, but when I first saw the headlines, I thought it would be something similar, but there are quite similarities and there are also differences. But what is similar is that the followers was willingness and the subjection to these extreme forms of rituals, if you call them, extremist forms of faith, and I guess sometimes, religion requires each of us, if you're a follower of religion, to be extreme. There's a whole lot of cases about extremism in every religion. And some meditate on dead bodies up in India. Some religions have killed other religions in order to stay on top of other religions. I want to say which religion that is. But there's a whole lot of extremism where a group gets together and decide that they, and not everybody else, they are the special ones. They are indeed the ones, the first ones to go in. They will be the first ones to go into heaven. They will be the first ones to open the doors for everybody. So it always gets extreme once you have a group of people leading or being led by a particular, usually charismatic individual who is telling them all these things that they need to see. So back to the video. So what did the neighbors have to say about this? One neighbor, Edmond Kwesa, who lived just near the farm, and he said that in his experience, he has learned little about the farm because they selectively do not speak much to people outside their group. So he only could observe little from outside. And he said one way that he used to describe these people, he said they were very industrious. They were very reclusive, but industrious. It was like a mini shop in there, he said. They produce soap, cooking oil, furniture, crops, and their livestock. So many. They're taking their livestock to grazing, but nobody gets paid. Instead, each member requests supplies from the prophet, and only he gets to distribute according to need, he said. So that's very interesting. Everyone is doing this work. No one gets paid as long as we know. But surely somebody's getting paid. Yeah, surely somebody's getting paid because they're making all of this. Like he used the word mini factory. It's like a mini factory there, and I'll show you these pictures. It's quite impressive to see how everyone is so disciplined and disciplined. I mean, from looking at it, and it's just working. Of course, these are pictures, and these pictures were taken on a particular day where New Zimbabwe magazine or New Zimbabwe is also another news outlet. So this is the day where they had went there in order to take the pictures. It was before these allegations. They had went there to take pictures of the place. So of course people will, look happy. People will look good. People will look, industrious in that moment. But this is also coming from the neighbors, to further affirm. And it was an also known thing that they sold their products at local business sectors, and there's people will, people out from outside, that's where they will get to purchase items directly from the farm. So, of course, there was a means of commercial, and there was means of commercial going on there. So somebody was definitely getting paid to do something. But as it is known, no one who did all this manual work, their children, that's not even in the question. But this is, old people, this is everyone. Okay, as far as the law there goes, there's no some sort of HR in place to get people paid after grinding, making tables, making gates, or feeding cows. Nobody gets paid, but instead, each of them requests supplies from the prophet, and he distributes accordingly. This is another case which has struck a lot of news. Like, why did you not report the graves? So apparently, the neighbor further asserted, when one of them dies, they just bury each other without any involvement at all from anyone outside the sect. As you see from the pictures, the police also discovered 16 unregistered graves, including those of 7. I've reiterated this about 4 or 5 times in this video. The capital, however, where most of the services, most of the government facilities are based at, was only 34 kilometers, otherwise 21 miles northwest of the capital. So it's not so far. But this is Zimbabwe, where many apostolic Christian groups believe, and they are very prevalent there. They're very prevalent. So many of them. So many of these groups. I mean, Zimbabwe is a Christian-dominated country, all right? I mean, you go pretty much in every state in Zimbabwe, you are bound to see, members of apostolic churches with long white robes, women and girls also wearing white handscarves. One thing, about this, most of these apostolic groups, they fuse traditional beliefs with Pentecostal doctrine. Some of these, doctrines sometimes include, staying away from, shunning modern medicine in any way, keeping children away from schools, because that's where they impose apparently the Western and sometimes beliefs that go against these traditional beliefs and Pentecostal beliefs. So they tend to be inclusive, shun modern medicine in any place. In fact, in the video, you hear someone saying that if one of us gets sick, it's up to God to heal that person. We do not get involved anyway. No one has that right to do anything about this person because that's disrespecting God. So this is not a new-ish thing. I there's a lot of groups, the Mormons, there's a whole lot of groups out there in the world that do not believe in modern medicine. In fact, some have even, some cases you can see why, you can understand why, because medical, when you look at the medical history, it's not always been innocent. Okay, so back to this video.
ndiye iwo matoro amaiza mupirongo dai mimi muri kumuteerera zvaari kutaura nyika ino iyi hayaiwomerwa nyika ino iyi hayaiita nzara.
How do they get healing then? So sometimes, of course, mainly healing comes from God. Sometimes they seek healing for illnesses through prayer, some using holy water. Water is also second best method that they use, to pray for water, and people have been healed through this water. And anointed stones is also other ways that they use to heal. So this is known. Apostolic churches are very popular in Zimbabwe. The United Nations Children Fund estimating that the country's largest religion domination with around 2.5 million followers in the country of 50 million. So there's so many in there. At least there's so many. So this is very interesting, and I thought, what do you think? When you look at some of these beliefs that they had, these people were waking. These people are awaking. They're fishing. They're building gates. They are very organized. They're very disciplined. And then it comes the case of the children. The children were not enrolled at school. They were not enrolled at school, so they definitely did not get all those injections at clinics or at schools. They didn't. And I understand this from a spiritual position. Sometimes, your spiritual path does not align with the government and with what your community is going with, and you have to remain strong with your spirit. So this is a very testing case, I suppose, for the followers and for the prophet, and also for us watching from outside. Because then, what does it mean to be free? What does it mean to practice free religion? What does it mean to have right to religion? What does it mean to have right to freedom to live the way that you want to? Of course, you have the right to go to school, but you also have the right to live the way that and raise your children the way that you want to raise them. Do you? Apparently you don't. Other cases, parents choose to school their children at home. Homeschool. It's popular in America, right? There's a lot of religions and doctrines out there that Mormons, for example, shun away anything more than Western civilization. So it's an interesting case. But I guess what makes this one even more complicated is that these accusations or allegedly child abuse, some of these children end up marrying some of the men at this church, supposedly. If the prophet deems it right, of course it will be done. If the prophet says that all children under the age of 12, and this is just a hypothetical, they're required to get married to a certain man, or if the prophet wakes up with a dream, he say, I had a dream. I seen your daughter, mama, getting married. I'm kidding, but nobody will definitely go against the words of the prophet if he says so. And so polygamy is also something that is, practiced. It's most of these churches, of course. And I mean, it's their beliefs. So, polygamy in Africa is not a new thing. I've seen it in America as well. It's not a new thing. There's a series, a TLC, a man with 3 wives, a black man with 3 beautiful white woman. So, and they have a show. So it's not a new thing anyway. Therefore, not a new thing when these churches do it. Okay, so homeschooling, not a new thing. I did not in any way support child labor. I think exploiting children is one of the worst things that anyone can do. Any sort of exploitation of children should be punished, hardest, extreme, most possible way. Sometimes even if it's jailed, let it be jailed for the longest years, because children are very innocent. Children have not done anything to anybody yet except steal a couple of sweets, steal sugar now and then in the house when nobody's there. But overall, children should be protected at all costs. And if we're exploiting children, manipulating children to work for us and do things for us, I think that's very ugly, and it should be punished in the most hardest way possible. But let's find someone guilty of these things fast before we punish them. And that's the beauty of democracy. It's the beauty of fairness. So let's find somebody guilty and establish that they're guilty, and then we can implement this means to best punish the behavior and best punish the individual. We don't only punish the individual, but we also punish the behavior. We cannot arrest the person, but the behavior can still go on. Okay, we've seen this a whole lot when the government tries to stop terrorism. Okay, they go on and kill the leader and forget that they have to tame that mindset. So what ends up happening is that a new hydra, a new head will come up. You kill that one person. So if we arrest one man, the next one will step up. So we have to also arrest the behavior, if you know what I mean. So during their first appearance in court, Mazibaba Ishmael was denied bail. The state says, and I quote, the cult leader will likely victimize witnesses if released. So this was the court's recommendation. And I see why. Because if you have a group of people still believing that this person is still is our leader and therefore still innocent, okay? And he's done nothing wrong. So let's bear in mind, he is jointly charged with 7 other leaders of his church, Johanna Masowe, or the White Garment, and they've also been denied bail. So they're still seeing the days of court. The 7 will be back at court at the 4th of April for the routine demand. In denying the group's bail, the magistrate said, okay, there is a need to protect the interests of the nation as much as the bail is a constitutional right to these individuals. So the best interest is for basically the nation's interests definitely come before the individual constitutional rights. I quote, the court will be guided by the section 50 of the Constitution, which provides that a person can only be deprived of bail if there are compelling reasons for bail denial. The state further submitted that if released, the accused is likely to interfere with the witness, and also that if released, there will be public outrage. Of course, and they were right about this. And the continued of the victimization of the witnesses will definitely endure. The accused said they will not abscond or interfere with the witnesses. Of course they did. Of course they said. And their reasons was like, hey, I've also have a family to feed. I have things to do, okay? I'm not gonna run away. I'm not gonna scare nobody. But I have things to do. I got places to be, bro. But this was not well received, of course, because the judge still maintained that, well, the state reasons are quite compelling and, of course, outweigh the accused submissions. So at the end of the day, they were denied the bail. The accused are people of influence in the community. Obviously, they are people of influence in their community, and the likelihood of them interfering with witnesses is very high, even if it's not directly. But them just saying the word, something will be done. So in a nutshell, the state has managed to provide compelling reasons, and definitely the accused will remain in custody. So they will be seeing their days in court. Like I said, on the 4th of April, they'll be back in court to further discuss the case. But hey, man, if you want to stay tuned, let you make another video. Drop me, man, in the comments. Let me know what you want to see. Let me know if you want to follow up on this. I'll definitely keep up with the case. you want more videos like this, let me know in the comment section. Yeah, man, that's it. It's been so nice chilling with you guys. It's been so nice, so relaxing. Just talking to you guys, man. It's so refreshing. And I hope that you listen more. You stay tuned, subscribe. And I love you guys, man. Take care of yourself. I'm out of here.